So hello and welcome. Today we are going to continue our conversation in our Understanding and Applying Value packet with worksheets number 3, 4, and 5. And as you can see, they are all about applying value, both observing and recreating the values that you see in each image. On the top of each worksheet, you will see a reference image. This one is a sphere. And underneath you will see a contour line image of the same exact thing. And I am asking you to observe the values that you see, observe the transitions that you see, and recreate exactly what's going on below. So again, this one is applying value to a sphere, number 3. Number 4 is applying value to a crushed up aluminum can. And number 5 is applying value to a shaded eye. And this one is obviously a little bit more intense. This video is going to be less of a demonstration. I'm not going to go through each of these worksheets live, but instead it's going to be more of a conversation about value and how you should be observing the values in these areas and recreating them. To complete these worksheets, you will need your worksheet, right? You will need your drawing pencils, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. You will need a paper towel so you can help yourself blend, your pencil sharpener, your eraser, and then I want you to take out your value scale that was included in your kit. I know that the worksheet before this one, the value scales, right, where we practice creating 3 different types of value scales, 2 segmented and 1 gradient. I know there's a value scale printed there, but I don't want you to have to go back and forth and look. Instead, I have supplied you with a cut out value scale, and as you can see, there's those little punch outs, like a teardrop shape that's punched out, and that's going to help you test and confirm if you're correct. So the first thing I want you to do before you use any of your supplies is to just take some time and observe what's happening on your paper. We see for the sphere, we have a circle depicted down here. We have the box of our reference image, and then we have this line going across for the back of our table, or the floor, where the floor meets the wall, however you want to interpret it. But again, I want you to take some time just to observe what's happening in your reference before you ever pick up a pencil. So what do you think? Where are the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s in this reference image? Identify the value, and then we're going to try and recreate that. So where are our 1s? I'm going to use, where's my pencil go? Here it is. I'm going to use my Ticonderoga to point. Where are the 1s in this image? This image is printed a little bit dark. There's no true 1, but the lightest parts of my image are going to be the highlight of my sphere. My light source is probably up here, right? The highlight of my sphere. And then back here in the back edge of our table is sort of like is this section and that section. That's going to be our 1s, maybe a 1.5, right? Edging into the 2. On the opposite end, where are our 5s in this image? Can you identify our 5s? So we have this sort of arched shape, this background, the wall, I'll call it, has of varying degrees of value, but we have a really darkness happening back here. This is going to be our 5 back here. We're going to have the 5, the core shadow happening within our sphere, and the 5 of the cast shadow down here. And I want you to notice you're going to actually have to draw in that oval shape down here for our shadow. Do try and get as close to that shape as you can. Don't draw it like a circle underneath. It's going to be that oval ellipse for the cast shadow. So again, our 1s highlight in the back of the table. Our 5s are going to be this background area, the core shadow of our sphere, and the cast shadow on the table. Everything else is a combination of our other values, the 2s, 3s, and 4s. What I want to point out to you are the gradients. So although this is going to be a 1 or a 2 down to a 5, it doesn't have like a stripy look to it, right? It doesn't have this chopped up segmented look to it. It has what we call a gradient from a 1 to a 5. And I'm going to flip back to this page, we've done a gradient, right, in just the 6B pencil, and I'm going to be looking for that when I go to grade you on this page and every other page, that where we see a gradient happening, that you are depicting that gradient correctly with your pencil and using the paper towel to help you blend. The other thing that I'm grading you on is matching your values. So if it's supposed to be a 5, I'm expecting you to be able to create a 5 back here. So again, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. I want to point out to you this little bit of reflected light at the bottom. It's bright, but it's sort of like a 3 in relationship to the 5, right? Our tabletop goes from a 1.5, a 2, right, down to maybe a 3, a strong 3. Let's test it. What is this value? Well, let's do it right next to the sphere. What is that value? What's your best guess? I would say a 3. Let's check it. Yeah, it's sort of like a 3, right? Now this is printed solid. This is like sketchy, isn't it? Because it's like a pencil drawing. But overall, that's sort of like a 3. Down here, that's edging into a 4. You can tell it's not a 5, right? So again, this tabletop is going from a 1, 2 to a 3 to maybe a little bit of 4 over here. And the last thing we haven't talked about yet really is our background, right? Our wall, I would call it, the background maybe. And we said we have that 5, but look at how it's not like a straight line. It fades out, it has a gradient out into this 4 for this area and the stronger 4 over here for that area. Okay, so which pencils are you going to use? That's the next big question. Which pencils are you going to use down here to create all the values that you see? Well, all of them, right? The only pencil you're probably not going to use too much is going to be this one, our 2H. Maybe we don't really use that one too much, but you're going to use a combination of all of these pencils to get all of these values. Which pencil would you like to use to get this 5? What's your best guess for that? Probably the 6 or the 4B, right? Because we know, if I look here, we know that the 4 and the 6B go really, really dark, really easy. So make your life easier. Your life's already hard, right? Don't make it harder by choosing a 2H to try and get that. You'll never get it. Instead, use your 4 or 6B to get those dark areas. Okay? I also want to see you use your paper towel to really blend those areas, make sure that they're nice and incorporated into the paper. Again, I'm grading you on your ability to observe and match value and your craftsmanship, as well as your ability to get the gradients where they need to be and or to have a sharp edge where it needs to be as well. All right, so this is worksheet number 3. You're going to repeat that same process. You're going to finish this. When you're done, you can submit it to the open feedback area on Schoology or ask for my help in person. You're going to sign when it's totally done, submit to Schoology, and then we're going to flip the page and tackle worksheet number 4. This one is harder, right? This one is much more subtle, much more delicate in its transitions. Again, worksheet number 4, applying value. I could have titled this observing, right? Identifying and applying value. And this is going to be, I'm going to call it the can, the crushed up can. So the same thing, you're using all the pencils. You're going to apply down here into the contour line image that is provided for you. But looking at this picture here, looking at your value scale, before you start, before you do anything, before you pick up a material, a pencil, artists observe. So observe this picture and identify your values. Where are your 1s, your 2s, your 3s, your 4s, and your 5s? Where are the 1s in this picture? I'm going to use my Ticonderoga to point. Where are my 1s? Well, our 1s in this picture, this is a aluminum can. It's shiny, right? And I know this picture is printed a little dark, but you can see this is a 1. Over here, it's going to be a little bit of a 1. This sort of highlight through there, that crushed edge is a 1. Same in there. Maybe right over here is another area of 1. When I say 1, it could be 1.5, right? Right there, 1, and then a little bit through here. Do you see that? Those are our bright, shiny highlights. Where are our 5s? Well, the easiest one to think about is going to be inside the depths of the can, right? Right in here. No light is getting in there. So that's where I would use my 6B and really go hard and fill that up solid. You can see a little bit of shadow down here and inside the little tab. And then look, they're sort of spread out all over these deep 5s to allow you, look at the shadow, the cast shadow on the ground. Back here too, right? Those are our 5s. And everything else are your midtones, your 2s, your 3s, your 4s. But pay attention to your transitions. This one is harder, like I said. Do you see, do you observe that it's darker on this lower edge? And as it comes around that surface of the can, it's lightening up. Do you see the transition from the 5 into the 4 here and the shape of that? This would be that core shadow on that edge, right? Do you see that little bit of reflected light pulling through? These are the things that are going to make it look real. And I want you to practice observing this here in this safe worksheet before we get to a photograph of our choice. Where there is a hard edge, like this one, right? Or along there, or even the outside of the can. Where there's a hard edge, I expect to see a hard edge. Where there is a soft gradient, I expect to see a soft gradient. Now, if I come down here to our contour lines, all of these lines down here are representing a change in value. So if you apply the same value across all these lines, you know something's wrong because I drew a line there for you because I see a change in value. So I'm expecting you to observe these lines and know and understand, it's like a coloring book, where each color is going to go. Just be mindful that you are not forgetting any of these lines. And if you can see that little bit of reflected light, the shadows right within, just because there's no line there doesn't mean that nothing is happening. Again, you're going to use all of your pencils. You're probably not going to use your 2H too much. Don't forget to blend with your paper towel, wrap it around your finger so you can really get into those little spaces. When you're done with worksheet number 4, you're going to take a picture of it, sign it, take a picture. When you think you're done, right, take that picture and submit it to Schoology in the open feedback section. That way I can give you feedback, and I'm probably going to tell you to go darker, probably going to tell you to lighten up some areas. I want to make you stronger, and that feedback conversation is going to be really critical in that. When you are done, when you have approval to go ahead and submit for credit, right, go and take a new picture, submit that in our assignment page, and then you're going to flip the page and tackle worksheet number 5. Worksheet number 5 is exactly the same except more challenging. And again, you are applying value. You're looking at this eye. And here you can see it is much more realistic, right? And down here you have a different type of contour line. It's much more subtle, right? And it's showing you all these changes in values. But like, if we look back here, this is a really solid line. If I bring this up to the camera, you can see like it's much more sort of fuzzy, that line, and that's on purpose. I want you to develop those lines are going to be softer, kind of meld into the background. Again, first things first, observe. Artists observe. Observe your values and identify them before you pick up any material. Where are your 1s, your 2s, your 3s, your 4s, your 5s? For the 1s in this picture, do you see this highlight from like a window maybe, or a bright light in the room on the eye? And you can also see the highlight here of the water, the liquid reflected in the eye, tears, I guess, reflected in the eye here and over there. That's what makes this eye look alive and real. Is the white of the eye a 1? You think it would be, but it's not. It's never going to be a bright white color because there's blood in there, because there's shadow. The brightness, the light is coming from this way. This is all in shadow because the eye is round, right? So again, identify your 1s, but don't make assumptions. Look at that right here. What value is this area? It's darker than a 2. It's around a 3, right? Where are the 5s in this picture? Well, over here, right? Because that's, again, round. It's in shadow. Also, this interior circle for the pupil of the eye, this gets rather dark. We have reflective light happening, though. And again, those easy transitions. You might be tempted to do all of the hair, the eyelashes and the eyebrow. We see a little bit of eyebrow. You might be really tempted to do that first. Do that last. Get in the blends of the colors in the background, and then at the very end you can add in all of those eyelashes. All right, so again, I'm not going to go through each of these worksheets and actually do them for you right now. This is going to take us several days. Please don't jump ahead. Please do not start with the eye. I want you to instead go back and begin with the sphere. We're building on top of our skills. We're going to complete all 3 of these and submit them on Schoology, and then our next lesson is going to be how we're going to find our own reference. We're going to learn about how to create contour lines from that reference, and then applying and identifying and applying value of our own reference for our first big graphite project. All right, until next time, see you later.